Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead. Well, I'm going to make a different dessert today. Ah, there's my oven telling me it's preheated. Today, we're going to make a root beer cake. Now, I've never done this before, and I've seen so many recipes that I've just decided to make a plain cake, but I'm going to use root beer instead of milk. And of course, I'm using Demerara sugar or raw cane sugar instead of white sugar. Because it's really not going to matter because it's going to change the color a little bit anyway. So let's get our butter into our cowgirl and get her creaming. You're going to need a half a cup of butter or one stick. And 1 cup of sugar. You can use white if you like, but I'm using raw cane sugar. And let's just get that creaming. And while that's creaming, let's add our 1 tablespoon of baking powder to our flour and get that out of the way. And of course we have our root beer and our 4 eggs. Okay. Let's get our eggs in here. 4 eggs. Oh, and of course you're going to need a powdered, I'm going to use a bundt tin because it's my favorite. You're going to need a greased and floured or a sprayed cake pan. We want these eggs to whip, so we're going to turn that up just a little bit. Open our root beer. I can't drink carbonated drinks, folks, so I'm going to bake with it instead. That's my favorite root beer if I could drink it. It used to be Stewart's. So I'm going to pour out 1 cup of Stewart's root beer. I just love the smell of it. And whatever's left, I'm going to save and see if I can't somehow make a glaze or a caramel sauce or something. That is looking absolutely lovely. Let's turn her down just a bit. We're going to go ahead and put our shield on here. Whoops. Just so I can start mixing the flour and the baking powder, alternating with the root beer, just like you would if this was milk. Not sure if we want it that fast. Let's see how well this shield works, eh? Woo! Works pretty good. But we'll turn it down to about a 2. You always alternate the liquid with the flour so that you get a smooth, even, consistent batter. And I'll always put the last bit of liquid in last. Alrighty. Let's wipe the cowgirl down and say thank you very much, sweetheart, for all your hard work. Now let's get our cake into our bundt pan. I've never had root beer cake before. It tastes like cake with an extra, just a little extra zing. There we go. Now we're just going to do this. 1, 2, 3 to make sure that there's no air bubbles. And this is going to go in the oven for about 45 to 50 minutes. And here is our root beer cake, fresh out of the oven. And we're going to let it cool down a bit before we take it out. And then later we're going to make a glaze. I don't have icing sugar, so it's going to again be raw cane sugar and butter and some root beer. And we'll see what happens. I've never done it before. All right, here we have our wonderful root beer cake. And we're going to make a glaze for it. Now once again, folks, I've never done this before, so I'm winging it. I'm going to put in my pan here. 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter. We'll get that melting. And with that butter, I'm going to add about a half a cup of my raw cane sugar. And I'm just going to melt this together. And then I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of root beer. Woo, look at that. Let's make this cake super moist. Let's drizzle just a wee bit of root beer over this cake. My cousin used to make something similar, only she used rum. Real rum, not rum flavoring. And we want some of the water from our root beer to evaporate. If you have, I've heard that you can buy concentrated root beer flavor. I have just never seen it. I'm Canadian, folks. We don't have half the cool stuff you guys got in your grocery stores. Maybe I'll just add some more root beer and we'll cook it down. How about that? Let's cook it down. Whoa! Be careful, she boils up pretty quick. Alright, this is going to be liquid. There's no way around it. So let's just now drizzle this. And you want to do this really slow because you want it to soak in to the cake. And whatever doesn't soak in will run down the sides. And I probably have way too much here. But as Wolfie always says, you can never have way too much good stuff. There we go. And we will just let that cool. And after dinner, you and I will try it out because Wolfie's working late. He's taking a course today at work. Morning, friends. It's 5 o'clock and I'm making Howie's breakfast. He came home late last night and you didn't get a chance to see him give a thumbs up to this cake. But a thumbs up he did give it. So this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, yeah, root beer cake. It's really good.